I call this the rawhide nigun. All right. Rawhide.
Yeah, that's the next part. From the top. On page 142, you'll find the words to Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bochem, Bochem Leshalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu Nile Shalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzeitrem, Tzeitrem Leshalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So I'll confess something to you. I know that's not quite our lane as Jews, except for once or twice a year. But normally on Shabbat, I leave my devices on for various reasons. One, to be reachable by the synagogue, and also because I'm a little bit addicted to them and have to constantly check scores or sometimes email and stuff like that. But I am leaning into unplugging on this Shabbos. It has been an overwhelming week in terms of security things that have been going on here and around the world, life cycle things, which I'm still connected to. If somebody calls the emergency number, it gets through to me on the weekend. But I was sitting in my home today, and I must have had more notifications going on while I was on a Zoom call and responding to an email than is humanly possible. And as I was thinking about how can I stop this? How can I get off this treadmill of this constantly beeping and binging and always pulling my attention away from things? I realized that it's Shabbos. And not only can I, but I must embrace what our tradition long knew, that in order to connect, we have to disconnect. That in order to actually be present, we have to remove our presence from all these other things. So I'm going to do that this Shabbos. I'm going to have a more traditional Shabbat than I normally do, provided that there's not an emergency at the synagogue, which then interrupts all of that. And I just want to invite you to do the same. Maybe your week was not as crazy as mine. I hope that it wasn't. But maybe you need it just as much as I do, and I hope you need it less than I do, but even still. Just because we're Reformed Jews doesn't mean that we can't observe a traditional Shabbos in the whatever way we define it. And so if you can bring yourself to do what I'm going to try to do, turn off your phones, disconnect. If you need to watch a Netflix with your kids or your partner or something like that, go right ahead. But otherwise, let's disconnect from all of that so we can connect with each other this Shabbos. I will report back to you sometime after how it goes for me, and not during. If you get an email from me, tell the temple president that I'm not doing my job. If you get an email from me on Shabbos. And I invite you to lean in to what our tradition has long known, which is the wisdom of Zman Kodesh, of holy time, and Shabbat Menucha, a Shabbos rest. So maybe we can all enter into Shabbat with that intention this Friday evening. The other intention we have, and this is truly analog, which is to light the Shabbos candles, to bring in the light of Shabbat, and to do that with our B'nai Mitzvah family. And so we want to invite Sammy and Andrea and Brenda and Sloan to come up to help us do a reading and then light the Shabbos candles. The reading which they're going to do is on page 121, but you don't need to follow along there. Just listen along as they read.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As the brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Somebody will take the center candle and light the other two. Well, the cantor's going to do the blessing. No, go ahead. Okay. Light them first. Backhand. I like that. First time. You don't want to use too much light. You don't want to ruin it, right? Use it up or anything. Okay.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom. So we're going to do one more thing as we welcome in Shabbat. I'm going to ask Liv and their siblings to come and help us as we pass out the bisamim, these satchels of cloves, of sweet-smelling spices. It is, of course, Jewish tradition that at the end of Shabbat, we breathe in the bisamim, the sweet spices, to fill up the empty spaces inside of us as the Shabbos angel leaves us. But in our congregation, we also begin Shabbat with that sweet smell. A reach nichoach, a smell that is pleasant and full of warmth and hopefully of spirituality and of holiness. And so as you breathe in the sweet spices of Shabbat, we make a space inside of us to welcome in the Shabbos, and we do that through Kabbalat Shabbat, the singing of these Shabbos songs with our cantor.
We begin with Lechuna Ranana, page 130. Lechun eranena l'Adonai Naria letzorishenu nekadma fanav betoda bizmirot Bottom of 132, Or Zarua. Or Zarua la tzadik, ul yishrei lev simcha. Or Zarua la tzadik, Yishrei lev simcha, simchu tzadikim, simchu tzadikim Adonai, ve'odo lezecher kodsho. Zarua, or Zarua la tzadik, ul yishrei lev simcha. Or Zarua la tzadik, ul yishrei lev simcha. Page 134, Zamru Ladonai. Zameru Ladonai bechinor, bechinor vekol zimra. Zameru Ladonai bechinor, bechinor vekol zimra. Zameru Chadodi, page 138. Oh, Lechadodi likrat kala, nei Shabbat nekavela. Oh, Lechadodi likrat kala, nei Shabbat nekavela. Shamor וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. כל אחד הודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Verse 2. Likrat Shabbat, lecho v'nelcha, ki mekor Pnei Shabbat Nekabela. Verse 3. Mikdash Melech, Ir Melucha, Kumitei Mitoch Afecha, Rav Lach Shevet, Bemekapacha, Ve'u Yachamol Alaich Chemla, Olecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat Nekabela, Olecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat Nekabela. Verse 5. Hitoreri, hitoreri, kiva orech kumi ori, uri uri, shir dameri, kevod Adonai alaich nigla, olecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela, olecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. We'll rise and face the entrance. Verse 9. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam besimcha uvetzola, toch emunei am segola, boi chala, olecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela, olecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela.
We'll turn to page 263 for Chatzi Kaddish as we transition from Kabbalat Shabbat, the warm-ups and the songs as we welcome Shabbat into Shema Ubirchotecha, the Shema and its blessings. And as we do that, we invite our B'nai Mitzvah Liv to join us on the Bima to lead the rest of our service.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועלמא דברה חירותי ועמך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי כל בית ישראל. בגלה בגלה, ובזמן קריב ויאמרו, אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תוש בחתה ונחמתה דמירון בעלמא וימלאו אמן.
Beres hu Adonai hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam.
Baruch Adonai hamvorah leolam va'ed.
Please be seated. We're going to continue as we join together with Liv in a prayer for evening, Ma'ariv Aravim on page 265.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, bechokma poter she'arim, uvitvuna meshane itim, u'machatif et hazmanim, u'meseder et hakohanim, b'mishpatehem barachim kirsono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom u'mevir laila, umavdil ben yom u'vein laila, Adonai Tzevaot Shemo, El Chai v'Kayam, Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, B'shobeinu u'kumeinu, Nasiya betukeha, V'nismech b'divrei Torateha, U'b'mitzvoteha, Le'olam, le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu, ve'orim yameinu, u'vahem nege yoma v'layla. Ve'ahavata al tzir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem kevod malchuto leolam va'ed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אלוהים מצווה היום על לבביך, ושנמנמתם לבביך ודברתם בם בשיטתך בריתך ובלכך ודרך ובשותלך ובקומך ושבתם להיות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך ותתם על מזוזות ביתך ומשמריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים אלוהיהם. אני אדוני אלוהיהם, אשר הוצאתיהם מארץ מצרים, להיות להם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיהם.
Emet. Let's read responsively in the English, page 269. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all.
Yet that oneness eludes our grasp as imperfection and evil abound.
Before our eyes there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness.
There is evil enough to break the heart, and there is good enough to exalt the soul.
When will redemption come?
When we grant everyone what we claim for ourselves.
Long ago we escaped the tyranny of Egypt, and our people saw the power of the Most High.
We learned God's presence redeems time and event, so we celebrate this power that makes for freedom.
We'll join with our cantor in the original song of freedom and redemption, Mi Chamocha, page 270.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele, malchutecha ra'u banecha, bokeh hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Zelianu ve'amru, Adonai imloch, Adonai imloch, le'olam va'ed. V'nemar ki fad Adonai et Yaakov, ugelo mi'ad chazak mimenu, baruch atah Adonai, ga'al Yisrael. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, leshalom, vehamidenu shomreinu lechaim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני, הבורא סוכת שלום, עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל, ועל ירושלים.
So, do you remember how we began the service and I was talking about Shabbos and trying to protect and keep Shabbat and to tune out so that we can tune in to ourselves and others? The commandment to do that is actually right here on page 272. So you don't have to listen to me. We can listen to the words of Torah as a reminder of the sanctity and the blessing of truly being able to disconnect so that perhaps we can reconnect with those things that are most important to us. Page 272, Vishamru.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, ביני ובין בני ישראל, ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. Yum ba da da da, Shabbat Shabbat, yum ba da da da, Shabbat Shabbat, yum ba da da da, Shabbat 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 Shalom. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. Yum ba da da da, Shabbat Shabbat, yum ba da da da, Shabbat Shabbat, yum ba da da da, Shabbat 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 Shalom.
We'll turn to page 273 and rise for the Amidah.
Adonai sfatai tiftach, Adonai sfatai tiftach, ufi agid tehilatecha, ufi agid tehilatecha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rahel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagador Hagibor v'Hanura, Elion, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, Uvnei Hakol, Behozer Usei Uvot Ve'imot, Ugim Lavnei Nevnehem, Leman Shebo Yava, Meleozer Umishia Umagen, Baruch atah Adonai, Megiv Abraham Vezrat Sarah. Atagibor lamnai, mekayim etim atare roshia, morit hatal, mekayim hayim behesed, mehayim etim berachamim ramim, somech nofim berchorim, umatir asurim, umekayim emunato, lishenei afar. Mi hamo haba gever vura, umi domela, mamamimit umehayed, umatim Yeshua, v'nimata v'nchoyot metim, Baruch atah Adonai, hamechayei hametim.
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. We'll continue with Ritzei, page 279.
רצה אדוני אלוהינו, ועמך ישראל, ותפילתם באהבה תקבל, תמיד עבודת ישראל. ישראל עמך, אל קרוב לכל קורב, פני אל עבדיך וחוננו, שפוך רוחך עלינו, ותחזינה עינינו, בשובך לציון. ברחמים, ברוך אתה, אדוני, המחזיר שכינתו לציון.
So the rabbis who wrote the Siddur in their infinite wisdom prescribed things that they thought we might leave out. And so that's why we have in our Siddur prayers for nature and its beauty, for relationships that we might take for granted, an acknowledgement of our neighbors and our relationships to them, the Shabbos, as I mentioned earlier, and also this moment in the midst of the Amidah, this central part of our service, where the rabbis said, if we don't create a space for it, they might just overlook it. And that is to say thank you, to acknowledge the blessings in our life. We are so good at fetching in Judaism that we have to sometimes set aside a special moment for blessing and for gratitude. And so before we say the blessing of gratitude, a hoda'ah prayer, who has something that they're grateful for in these past days or weeks? Who has a blessing in their life, a simcha, a celebration perhaps, that they'd like to share so that we can all bask in that joy? Sandy.
I've seen two movies of the Jewish Film Festival.
Two movies of the Jewish Film Festival.
Fabulous.
And they've been fabulous.
It's so nice to connect with all the people in the lobby before and after. Everybody is happy, and it's just a good feeling.
Thank you, Sandy. If you haven't seen the Jewish Film Festival, or it just opened, I think, the other day, the catalog is outside, and the blessing of being able to be with our community and to take in those films is really wonderful. And the chairs of the Jewish Film Festival are actually members of the congregation, so you're supporting that too. Other blessings in your life, other things that you are grateful for. Yes? You can do two, that's okay. More blessing, the better.
We have an amazing dog sitter.
An amazing dog sitter.
So good. She loves our dog the way we do.
You're going to have to share the name. We have a dog that needs a dog sitter.
And two, one of my very best friends who's not Jewish just started falling in love.
Oh.
And I didn't want to ask, have you screened this person's anti-Semitism? And then she offered it. She said, I've screened her, without me even asking, and she passed the screening.
They passed the anti-Semitism screening test. That's good. Excellent. Not always a guarantee. Can you swipe for that? Yes. Mike Wall, anything going on in your life, maybe?
On top of everything else, it's Liv's birthday today.
It's Liv's birthday today. Yom Huledet Sameach, Liv. You are 17, 18? Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Let's have a big party tomorrow. What do you think? But you got to read a little Torah. Other blessings in your life. Yes.
I won't say her age, but also grateful to celebrate my grandma's birthday on Monday this
Yes, Gladys turned a big number. Every number is a big number, but Gladys.
71.
71, plus a few. Happy birthday, Gladys. Yes. Wonderful, wonderful. The blessing of sleeping in with your cat. Anybody else? Yes. Wow. Two friends having babies. Soon? Are they?
Yeah, next month.
Next month. B'sha'a tova, we say. It should happen at a good hour. Anyone else? Yeah. Indeed, indeed. And we remember Sheila for blessing. And we're so glad that your family could be together. Anyone else? What's that? Poppy, yes. The blessing of Liv's birthday, might that be the, no, probably not. That it's not your B'nai Mitzvah this time. Maybe that's the blessing, right? But you are going to read Torah. Aren't you reading Torah tomorrow? Awesome. That's great. Yes.
We're blessed to have our mother, who's going to be 97 right here.
Yes.
She's got all her children and grandchildren here this weekend.
The true blessing of the door of generation to generation. 4 generations. For all of those blessings, is there another one in the back? Yes. Sorry, can't hear you. You joined the BC ambulance team. Oh, fantastic. I hope that we never need you. But I am glad that you are there for others. For all of those blessings, let's say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hatov v'hametiv, for all that is good and wonderful in our lives. We offer thanks and blessing. We can say together, Amen. And we'll join with our cantor in the Chatimah, the little last tail bit of this Hoda'ah prayer.
ועל ניסך שבכל יום, ערב ובוקר וצהריים, מעולם קיווינו לך, מעולם קיווינו לך. הטוב כי לא חלו רחמך, והמרחם כי לא תמו חסדיך, מעולם קיווינו לך, מעולם קיווינו לך.
We join together in Shalom Rav, a prayer for peace.
שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
Mike, was it something I said? We're going to take a moment for our own tefillat Shebalev, the private prayers and meditations of our hearts, or those in the Siddur. Take a moment to reflect and to meditate.
leratzon. Iyu leratzon imrei fi ve'gyon libi. Iyu leratzon imrei fi ve'gyon libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri ve'goali. Adonai tzuri ve'goali. Go inside your heart, just be. Go inside your heart and see what it wants, what it needs, what it yearns when you breathe. Go inside your heart and see. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be kind, be true. May they be acceptable to you, oh my rock and my redeemer.
We'll turn in our prayer books to page 371 and find there the words of Mishaberach, a prayer for healing. For those who are sick and in need of healing, I'll invite you to add to the names that have been shared with us, those that you've brought into this sanctuary who are in need of this prayer in just a moment. We ask God's blessing of healing on Ross Schneider, Hannah Bild, Morris Richter, Peter Cooperberg, Billy Lackman, Ashley Speed, Ken Newman, Isaac Levitsky, Avaya Ruth Bat Mendel Vishoshana, Nomi Kaplan, Layla Douglas, Ellen Barbary, Ruth McPhee, Annie Bross Rothenberg, Michal Michaeli, Jan Schloss, Cadence Quibel, Pearl Feldman, Shoshana Batdina, Libby Gozer, Dan Pekarsky, Ron Stewart, Benny Avidon, Sandy Merwitzer, Raphael Ben Sara, Chana Bat Meir Avraham Vashero, David Shlomo Gorney, Janet Gelb. If there are others who are in need of this prayer for healing, I invite you please to stand and call their names out one by one. Devorah Bat Eliyahu Ufesha. We'll join with our cantor as we join together a Mishaberach, a prayer for healing, page 371.
Mishaberach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach Imotzeinu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu
Shabbat Shalom. Liv Mazel Tov again. We're excited that you and your family will be called to Torah tomorrow. I can tell you're really excited. You're going to do great. And thank you to your parents for sponsoring our own egg tonight. I tasted everything. It's kosher, and we're good. So, I just want to draw your attention to the announcements in our handout. First of all, you might notice that we have a new font. We did a little rebranding at the synagogue, and we ended up just changing the font. But it took like 4 months to get to that place. So, but we do have a new website as well, and we're pretty happy with how that's working out. So hopefully you'll notice that. We have a lot going on this week and next at the synagogue. On Tuesday, May 5th, is Kibbutz and Cookies. That's a seniors discussion. This one is on Jewish pirates of the Caribbean. Not the, it's the Pirates of the Caribbean, and they're Jewish. And that's at 1:30. If you can, it's free of charge, but if you can register in advance, that would be terrific. That evening, on Tuesday night at 7:30, is the first of a 3-part course that I'm teaching called A Taste of Judaism. It's for those that are sort of Jew curious. So if you're in a relationship with somebody, then you want to know more about Judaism. If you don't remember anything since Hebrew school or somewhere in between all of that, or you just want to double down on some Jewish learning, the first night is on Jewish theology. The second night is on Bible and Torah and Jewish literature and text. And the third night is on Jewish peoplehood, loosely God, Torah, and Israel. Please come and invite your friends to do so as well. We just ask that you register in advance. Thursday night, May 7th, I'll be on a panel with members of our congregation and our community, a gentle conversation about death and dying in Jewish tradition. And if you're ever, when wondering sort of what happens from a theological perspective and a practical perspective in terms of tahara and the preparation of the body and Jewish funeral rites, as well as sort of theological and Jewish ethical questions about maid, medical assistance in death, and other things. We're going to try to cover all of that in this 2-evening class. Next weekend is Jonah Friedman's bar mitzvah. It's also the anniversary, or not so much, but it's my bar mitzvah of being a rabbi at this congregation for 13 years. And so we invite you to come to a host of things. Friday evening, there'll be a Friday night service. We have some speakers lined up. Saturday morning, it's all about Jonah and his bar mitzvah. Saturday night, there's a party here at the congregation to celebrate my 13th year and to raise some money for 2 very important endowment funds at our congregation, for our Scholar in Residence Fund and for our senior support rabbi, which is the Rabbi Sally Feinstone, and her position that allows us to provide social work support to our seniors and the homebound. And then Sunday, as part of our religious school, during the Ruach Rally and Minyan slot, we're going to have a bagels and schmear and some fun together. So that's all happening on. Also, we had to reschedule our Krav Maga self-defense class because the instructor, Louisa, was not able to make it in the evening that we scheduled. She's doing better now. And that will be on Monday, May 11th at 7:30. I think there's still a couple of slots left, but we were able to add some additional spaces. It was fully subscribed on the original date. So please, if you're interested in that, sign up soon. We did it together as a staff. And speaking of Rabbi Feinstone, she was, I think, the scariest person in the whole group, and I would not want to run into her in a dark alley. So much more happening at the synagogue, so please take a look at that. Cantor Cohen, anything to add? And your opera concert is, I know it's for the larger community, but that's on Sunday. At what time and where?
Well, I'm very honored to be part of the Vancouver Opera Chorus of La Boheme. So we have 2 more shows, Saturday night and Sunday matinee at the Queen Elizabeth Theater.
Awesome.
If you want to come check it out.
Come and check that out. Awesome. Okay. I'm going to turn off your mic so you can whisper to Kylan if you want. Okay. A number of years ago, I came across a story that has stayed with me ever since. A man is sitting on a quiet subway. The car is calm, almost serene. And then a group of children bursts in, running up and down the aisles, shouting and disrupting the peace. And everyone on the train is, as you can imagine, visibly irritated. The father is sitting right there, but he does nothing. He seems completely oblivious to the mayhem and the disruption that his children are causing. And finally, one passenger gets up the courage and turns to this man, the father, and says, Sir, your children are disturbing a lot of people. I wonder if you couldn't just get control of your kids. The father looks up, as if waking from a fog, and says, oh, yeah, you're right. I guess I should do something. We just came from the hospital where their mother died about an hour ago, and I don't know what to do. And I guess they don't know how to handle it either. You can see why that story stayed with me. In an instant, everything changes. The behavior hasn't changed. The kids are still running amok. The noise hasn't changed, but the meaning of all of it has. What looked like bad parenting now looks like grief. What looked like disrespect now looks like disorientation and pain. And all because we learned the story behind the story. That same kind of shift sits at the heart of a strange and troubling episode in this week's Torah portion that Liv is going to read tomorrow. In Parshat Emor, we read about a young man, the son of an Israelite mother and an Egyptian father. Right there, it's kind of interesting. Not a typical relationship in biblical times. He tries to take his place amongst the Israelites in the camp, among his mother's people. But he is rejected. He's cast out. Tribal identity is determined by the father in biblical times, and he has no tribe to belong to. And so they push him out. A fight breaks out. And in the course of that fight, he utters a blasphemy of God. And for that act, and this is biblical times, he is brought before Moses, and ultimately, again, biblical times, the punishment is death. It's a difficult story, a harsh story, and one that challenges us just on that level. But then the Torah does something really unusual. We're never told the name of this man, of this blasphemer that's kicked out of the camp, but we are told the name of his mother, Shlomit bat Divri. In fact, she is the only woman named in the entire book of Leviticus. But why her? And why here, in this moment, in this story? Why does her name matter? Our tradition notices this and refuses to let it pass quietly. We're really good at that. When things sort of pop out and are unusual, that's when the rabbis go to town. And so they step in and they offer, through Midrash, but also through a history lesson, a backstory. One that is as painful as it is illuminating. They teach that Shlomit was the woman connected to the Hebrew slave whom Moses saw was being beaten by an Egyptian taskmaster. Do you remember that story? We read it at Pesach. Right? Moses sees a Hebrew slave being beaten by an Egyptian taskmaster, and Moses looks around, sees no one else doing anything, or sees no man, depending on how you read the passage, and then acts in a very violent way. We know the story from Pesach, and it's at the beginning of the book of Exodus. But then they add something that we do not see on the surface of the text. They suggest that the taskmaster, and this is tough to hear, but it's part of the story, had raped Shlomit. That the child born from that act of violence is this very young man that has been kicked out of the camp. And that the beating that Moses witnessed was an attempt to silence the husband who had seen what had happened. If that is the story behind the story, then everything begins to look very different. This is a young man born into trauma, raised with stigma, living with a past that he did not choose, and he tries to find his place among his people, and he's told once again, there's no place for you here. You don't belong. We can see how painful that would be. We could see why he would cry out against God and blaspheme God, if not everyone around him. We begin to hear his voice. Where am I supposed to go? Who am I supposed to be? If I'm not welcome here, then where? And if not with you, then with whom? And we can feel his anger. and the isolation and the longing for belonging. Now, none of this excuses what he does. None of it excuses murder. But the Torah does not erase, and the Torah doesn't erase his accountability. But it does something that we so often overlook. It gives context. It gives the backstory. And the rabbis tell us that this nameless young man's story, by telling us this nameless young man's story, they refuse to let us see him only at his worst moment in life. They insist that there is a story behind his behavior, a history behind the outburst, a human being behind the act, a wounded human being. Why do they insist on this? Because there always is. And so often in our anger, our judgment, we forget that, or we willfully ignore it. Not just in biblical stories, but in our own lived experience. The backstory matters. The why matters. In my experience, and I'm pretty sure in your experience as well, we know that most of the time, people do not act randomly. There is almost always something underneath, something behind the act. A wound, a fear, a loss, a story that we do not know, and yet we are so quick to judge. How quickly we decide that we understand someone, even when we know nothing. How quickly we reduce them to a single statement, a single action, a single position, a single tweet or post. We are living in a moment where people are sorted instantly into categories. One sentence, one post, one slogan, and we feel that we know everything about that person, all that we need to know about them. And so we stop listening. We stop asking. We stop seeing. And we just judge. But what would happen if we reacted like the rabbis? What if we became curious? What if we asked why? If before we argued, we asked a question. If before we judged, we paused long enough to wonder, what is the story that I am not hearing? Think about the conversations that you've had this week. The conversations you had that ended too quickly. The ones that became tense or shut down entirely. The people you unfriended or who unfriended you on social media or in real life. The ones where you walked away thinking, how could they possibly think that or believe that? What if there is more there? What if there's more to the story? Because there always is. A backstory, a reason that might change how you see the person sitting across from you. You're not necessarily excusing their behavior, but explaining or understanding them like the children acting on the train who are reacting to something you didn't know anything about. I don't believe that everything happens for a reason. That's not my theology, and if you took a class with me, I would teach you that it's not Jewish theology as well. But I do believe that there is almost always a reason behind everything that happens. Behind what people say and behind what they feel. And if we can learn to look for that, if we can be curious and listen for that, to ask about that, then we move from holier than thou to holy cow. I didn't know that before I jumped to my conclusions. I'm sorry. A community that asks why before it judges is a community that makes space for complexity, for humanity, for each other. And in a world that feels increasingly fractured on the personal level, on the social level, on the political level, that kind of community is not just important, it is essential, and it is holy, and is what we are charged to create. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to continue now with the counting of the Omer, and if you don't know exactly what that is, the cantor's going to explain it.
That's right. You can find the words on page 570. So the counting of the Omer is this period of 7 weeks between Pesach, Passover, and Shavuot. And we're just about halfway through, a little over. And we literally just count it. But of course, in Jewish tradition, we don't just count it. That would be boring. So we have to prepare ourselves to count it. And to do that, we have this nigun. Goes like this. Yai la la la, yai la la la, yai la 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 la, yai la la la, yai la la la, yai la 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 la. L'Hashem yichud, l'Hashem yichud, kudsha brichu shlinte hineni. הנני מוכן ומזומן לקיים מצוות עשה שספירת העומר, שספירת העומר, שספירת העומר, שספירת העומר, 7 שבתות תמימות תהיינה, 7 שבתות תמימות תהיינה. יאי לה לי לי, יאי לי לי לי, יאי לה לי 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 לי, יאי לה לי לי, יאי לי לי לי, יאי לה לי לי לי. Okay, we're ready for the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu, b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, al sfirat haomer, al sfirat haomer, al sfirat haomer, al sfirat haomer. היום 30 יום שהם 4 שבועות ושני ימים לעומר. יאי לה לי לי, יאי לי לי לי, יאי לה לי 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 לי, יאי לה לי לי, יאי לי לי לי, יאי לה לי לי. Today is 30 days, making 4 weeks and 2 days of the Omer.
So now we know.
Now we know.
We're going to turn to page 586, and the middle paragraph in the Hebrew, not the first one. It's kind of weird the way we did this in our Siddur. And rise for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו, ושכינתו זו, בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום בהשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת, אין עוד ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא Ushemo, Ushemo, Ushemo Echad.
Please be seated. We'll turn to page 594. A reading before Kadisha Tome, the Mourner's Kaddish. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch, a fearful thing to love, hope, and dream to be and also to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, and your laugh once lifted me. Your word was a gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched. On this Shabbat, we recall those who died during this past week and these past 30 days, whose families are in the midst of Shiva and Shloshim. As I read the name of your loved one, if you could please rise and remain standing so we might comfort you in our midst. We are in the midst of Shiva and Shloshim for Dr. Philip Edelman, Sharon Leslie Fugman, Betty Nussbaumer, Mark Silver, Sheila Smith, Ellie Waldman. And those for whom the Yortzeit, the anniversary of the death of your loved one, is on this Shabbat, if you too could rise as I read their name. Samuel Angel, David Asmucha, Hannah Baker, Vicky Bajarsnez, Samuel Wayne Boberoff, Bella Brenman, Glitza Maria Samper, Gerald Churtko, Stanley Cooperman, Jennifer Darbley, Louis Easton, Isabel Edwards, Oscar Eisenstadt, Esther Fogelbaum, Martin Freeman, Esther Froman, Kira Salim, Ken Gervitz, Matthew Good, Bill Halperin, Lillian Halter, Becky Hapton, Lynn Hoing, Alejandro Young, Mendel Kanofsky, Katie Lee, Richard Lee, Louis Libben, Anita Mabe, Harold Mann, Max Menkes, Manya Mokalavia, Dr. Howard Netter, Frederick Oberlander, Narisa Pagkulian, Rabbi Harold Rubens, Glitza Samper, Daniel Samper Toro, Pauline Schiffman, Jendel May Siko, Sheila Smith, Ruth Starrin, Van Twombly, Alexander Weinberg, Cam Wong. Amongst the names that I shared were the victims of the Lapu Lapu tragedy in our community, and I apologize for mispronouncing some of those names. I'm sure that I did. If there are others who have come to say Kaddish, names that you wish to remember, or names that I've mispronounced, and you could please correct me, I would appreciate it. Please stand and call those names out. Looking around the congregation and seeing those that have stood in mourning, we'll stand now by their side, providing the comfort of our presence. We turn to page 598 as we join with the mourners, those who wish to join with the mourners in Kadisha Tome. Yit Gadal v'yit Gadash Shemei Rabbah v'yamad yivrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayed chol Beit Yisrael ba'agala ubizman kariv v'maru amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lamei almaya. Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yit pa'ar v'yit v'yitnaseh v'yit adar v'yit aleh v'yit alal Shemei dekudisha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiron v'alma v'maru amen. Yehi Shlama Rabbah min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'maru amen. Oseh Shalom b'mamav hu ya'aseh Shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'maru amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn comfort the bereaved among us, and we say together, amen. We're going to remain standing for a moment as we conclude our service with Kiddush and Motzi.
And Liv is going to come join
And Liv's
me
going to
over
come
here.
stand with the cantor, as I think you guys are going to do that together.
Yes.
Thank you again to Sammy and Mike for sponsoring our Kiddush after our service.
Sorry, give me a second. I'm just gonna adjust this. Coming to you. Okay. There we go. 1, 2. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. B'Shabbat kodsho ve'ahavat u'ratzon hinhilanu. Zikaron le'maaseh v'reishit. Ki hu yom tehila le'mikrei kodesh. Zeher mitziat Mitzrayim. Ki vanu varata ve'otanu kidashta mikohanim. Ve'shabbat kodsheha be'ahava u'ratzon hihaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Amen. L'chaim. It's grape juice, right? Okay, we'll continue with Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam,
Motzi lehem min
haaretz. Amen. Take some. Yes, there you go. If you can carry all of this, you can take it with you. It's very heavy. You got it? You got it? Okay.
We're going to join with our cantor in Oseh Shalom. Is that right? Our
That's
closing
right.
song.
Oseh
Shalom.
shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Torah study tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. Services begin at 10 a.m. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.